What's up? Welcome back to the Mandatory. Remember, if you like the show, if you like the content that we're putting out, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to this, also leave a rate and review if you have time, and make sure to follow us at the Mandatory TKO. We're on that for Twitter, IG, TikTok, for all your social media platforms. And if you have been rocking with us, thank you so much. We got a big announcement just the other day, Bryan. It's going to go down. Devin Haney versus Vasiliy Lomachenko, May 20th in Vegas for all the belts at lightweight. Tell me, what are your thoughts on this bout, and how happy are you that this one finally got announced?
Getting right into it. I think with this fight, one, we all expected it. I was kind of hoping that we would get it sooner, like March or something like that. And it was just, delay, because this is how the sport works. But whatever, we finally got it. And I was also hoping selfishly that it would be Madison Square Garden. It is not. So MGM Grand, Vegas, Vegas people will be happy with that. Look, this is a big fight. This is a fight that we all saw coming once they both handled business in October. And there's a lot here, right? I think Devin Haney, as soon as I don't know if you saw my tweet, but as soon as they announced it, I was like, Devin Haney by decision, or Devin Haney on points, whatever the case may be. Just a few notes on this, right? And Devin Haney is one of my favorite stories probably in the sport. I think it's just so cool that he turned pro at like 17 years old in Mexico and was down there really like, it's like some shit you could actually make a movie on. Like a teenager from the United States goes to Mexico, really makes his bones as a professional, eventually comes back, and then goes back to Mexico at some point for some more fights. I think Tijuana specifically. And he's only 24 years old and is undisputed champion.
Crazy.
is about to have 30 fights under his pro belt. Under his pro belt. That was stupid. First undisputed lightweight champion is Pernell Whitaker. Okay.
Wow.
In the early 1990s, Pernell Whitaker had it for 18 months and 3 title defenses, and then he moved up to 140, which Devin Haney might do. A little bit more on that in a second. And I think that, because this is the interesting thing, Bob Arum has already said that if Lomachenko wins this fight, which I don't think he is, but some people will pick
Can't count him out. Can't count out Loma. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just respect Devin Haney that much at this point. But he says Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson is definitely the plan if Lomachenko wins. And you would think that, okay, so that may mean Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson would be in the works. And that is not necessarily the case, because he told boxingscene.com it was, that the quote was, I don't see him. Oh, no. That was the Shakur Stevenson quote. We're going to get to that in a second. Bob Arum said that the plan is for Lomachenko to fight Shakur Stevenson at 135, but he's not sure Devin Haney stays there if he does win this fight. Shakur Stevenson then tweeted out, I don't see him winning at all about Lomachenko. But if he magically could pull something off, I'm with it for sure.
Yeah, and I think I saw a tweet, whether it was from Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson. I think Shakur Stevenson was saying that he would like to fight Devin Haney at one point, and then Devin Haney like quoted his tweet and said, yeah, definitely. So these two guys do want to fight at 135. I think both of them are eventually going to move out, but that is a super fight when we get to see Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, because they kind of have similar traits in the sense that they're very good defensively, very hard to touch them. And you talked a lot about Devin Haney, one of my favorite fighters. But at the same time, for a lot of people, Devin Haney isn't that pull to watch a fight, as in he has the reputation of kind of being a boring fighter. I don't believe that. I think the way that he boxes is beautiful. But Shakur Stevenson also had that rep a little bit before too, before he put on that performance against Jamel Herring, right? And these are things that we have to take into account, because the pay-per-view for Devin Haney and Lomachenko is $59.99. So what are your thoughts on that, Bryan? Are you going to purchase this pay-per-view?
Yes, wink. No, I'll get it. You know what I mean? I'll watch it. I'm gonna get it. With Devin Haney, I think it's justifiable with Devin Haney and Vasiliy Lomachenko from an ESPN standpoint, because if you're top ranked, this is one of the biggest fights you can make.
Yes.
It's going to be undisputed championship. It's going to be at the MGM Grand. It's going to be in May. All those things.
Love it.
At that part of the calendar you're talking about, we're probably in the conference finals for the NBA playoffs. Baseball is going to be around, but at the same time, like who's really checking for baseball in May? No disrespect, and I love baseball.
I'm still like watching baseball games in May, man. But also, it's also like before Memorial Day weekend. The weather's really nice. Vegas is popping during May. It's one of the best times to go. The fight is at MGM, which is like one of my favorite places to watch a fight in Vegas. I think the elements of it is absolutely perfect. $59.99 for this fight is really good. And we talked about Devin Haney. We hyped him up. Let's talk a little bit about Lomachenko, though.
Yeah, because I have some concerns.
He's coming off that win against Jermaine Ortiz in a fight where Jermaine Ortiz fought really well early on in the fight. But as you know, Lomachenko always starts off slow. That's something that he can't do in this fight because you know that Devin Haney is going to establish that jab, beautiful jab, and he's going to be racking up those points. Lomachenko at one time was argued to be the best in that division. People were talking about Lomachenko on the pound for pound list before he lost to Teofimo Lopez.
He was
something to really consider in this fight because after that loss, a lot of people were like, oh, Loma lost, this and that. But that was a really, really close fight. And I know some people argued that Loma did win. I thought Teofimo Lopez did enough to get that victory. But Loma, very technical, very skilled, ridiculous footwork. And I still think he's one of the kings in the division. But a lot of people at the same time, there's questions about Loma too, just like how there's questions about Devin Haney. The questions about Devin Haney are he's undisputed, but he beat George Kambosos to get the belts. And everyone's like, well, is he a real fighter? I'm not saying that he's not. I think Devin Haney deserved those belts. He showed out, put out 2 beautiful performances. But those are the questions on Devin Haney. People are like, well, who has he beat? And the same kind of goes for Lomachenko. And the fact that at one point he was regarded as one of the best, if not the best in the division, also on the pound for pound list, and for that to be snatched away right after Teofimo Lopez, I think he's got a lot to prove on his end as well. So that's why the makings of this fight is so big because there's actually a lot riding on it as well, both of these guys' reputations. And this is also going to be Devin Haney's biggest test. And if he gets a W against Lomachenko, and we'll get into betting later on in that segment when we get to May, but yeah, I would be taking Devin Haney on points too, because I think Lomachenko starts off too slow. And by the time he starts to pick it up in the 6th round, Devin Haney will be ahead. That's what I think is going to happen in this fight. But nonetheless, I just think that this is Haney's biggest test. And if he gets the W against Lomachenko, then you can't really say he hasn't fought anybody. Like that has to go away. That has to totally go away, and you have to put him on that pound for pound list. He's already on my pound for pound list because he's undisputed at lightweight.
Yeah.
So I don't know how people leave him off of that, but I think once he gets this W against Lomachenko, if he does, because I still think Loma has a very, very good chance, especially the way he turns it up later on in the rounds. But Devin Haney is just so hard to touch. Like he's not a guy you're going to be hitting a lot. So there's just a lot that will go on into this fight where I'm like, man, I'm definitely going to take Devin Haney, but I wouldn't sleep on Loma. But a lot riding on this fight, Brian. Do you agree, though, if Devin Haney beats Lomachenko, do you think the hate will stop there and people will finally give him his due respect?
Maybe because but I say maybe because with Lomachenko, even the feedback that he's gotten recently has been a little bit dicey also, where I felt like a lot of people were very underwhelmed by the Jermaine Ortiz performance. Yeah. And I am somebody who had Lomachenko barely winning that fight 115, 113. I don't remember the cards exactly. I could pull them up, but regardless,
it was close.
He won a close decision, right? And I do remember thinking that Jermaine Ortiz deserved more respect on 1 or 2 scorecards. But Lomachenko just turned 35 in February this past year. He also fought almost 400 amateur fights. He was famously 396-1 as an amateur. So he turned pro late, and he turned pro at 25 in 2013. So he's been a pro for about 10 years at this point. And that's after a 400 fight amateur career. And he's also a lightweight now where at featherweight, he looked unstoppable. At super featherweight, he looked unstoppable. At lightweight, if you go through the fights, there's been a little bit more cracks, right? Like he was obviously world champion level good, and I think still is now. Like he's earned this fight.
Yeah.
But at the same, he's not like there are some dudes in boxing where like they lose a fight and then they get a title match in their next fight anyway. He actually won 3 fights in order to get this title fight. So there's that. But at lightweight, right? Jorge Linares was the first lightweight fight. And he got knocked down in that fight,
Yeah.
which was shocking at the time, right? And it was a legit knockdown, put on his ass, but he got back up and won that fight. Jose Pedraza, I thought, fought well in that fight. Like, I thought to that point, I was like, this is one of Lomachenko's toughest challenges so far. I had it like 116, 112-ish. I think the judges also had it in that same territory. Anthony Crolla, Luke Campbell, I think he was like pretty much vintage Lomachenko in those, but we would also acknowledge not like super stiff challenges for somebody of Lomachenko's pedigree at that point. Then the loss to Teofimo Lopez, where he started slow, legitimately got beat. I had it 115, 113 Teofimo Lopez. Some people that I was talking to had it even wider than that. And then since then beat Nakatani, who beat he looked
really good against Nakatani though. Like against Nakatani, I was like, oh, vintage Loma.
But that should have been Felix Verdejo.
Yeah. also, let's keep in mind, after he beat Luke Campbell, he was actually supposed to fight Devin Haney. Remember? Yeah. But then he franchised he became a franchise champion. So then that never actually happened. The only other guy to ever do that, I think, was Canelo at middleweight, and the same thing happened to Jermall Charlo, right? Then Jermall Charlo got the belt. Same thing with Devin Haney. That's why Teofimo Lopez was all like, yo, you got your belt emailed to you and all that stuff, just in case people were wondering what that was all about. So that's why they didn't end up fighting. But he was supposed to fight Devin Haney after Luke Campbell.
So aside from that, he beats Nakatani. He beats Richard Comey, who he honestly should have stopped and was actually calling for the ref, like, yo, stop the fight. But they didn't do it. And then the Jermaine Ortiz fight, where I thought Jermaine Ortiz looked very good. And I'm actually excited to see Jermaine Ortiz in the next fight. I wanted Jermaine Ortiz to fight Shakur Stevenson in Shakur Stevenson's lightweight debut. But that is not happening. He is fighting.
That would be a very tough fight. That's a tough fight for Shakur. Like, Shakur is probably one of my favorite fighters. Have him a little bit above Devin Haney. But yeah, that would have been a good fight. He's seeing him and Ortiz.
Yeah, ultimately, I think Devin Haney wins this when we get around to it. Like, I just have a harder time seeing Lomachenko at the state he's in now, like getting off to a slow start and then trying to win rounds at the back end against Devin Haney, who's also a slow starter, who also gets better as the fight goes on. Like, he might give you a couple rounds early as he's trying to download information, figure you out, and study range and really establish his jab, particularly to the body, as he did with George Kambosos, keep him at distance. And like, I think he's going to just really dissect Lomachenko throughout the course of the fight, which is a weird thing to say if you've been watching Lomachenko for years. I think it'll be a close fight. I think it'll be like in that 116, 112 range, but I think Devin Haney wins this.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a good one for all the belts at lightweight. Undisputed. We'll see if Devin Haney can get it done against Lomachenko, but still one of the biggest fights that will be coming up before June. Great year for boxing. We'll have more for you. Also, if you have...
I don't know about great, Shantelle. You know,
it's going to be a good fight, man.
Listen. Virgil Ortiz and Stan Jonas fight just got canceled because Virgil Ortiz
As soon as I saw it, I hit you on IG. I was like, yo... It was late at night. I know. I was like, you're sleeping right now, but it was only like 10:30 here.
I'm like, on the West Coast. And then Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk gets canceled, and then like,
hey, we're getting Tank and Ryan though.
Hopefully, we still need Gervonta Davis to stay out of trouble for a couple weeks, and then we'll be all right.
I hope so. I hope so. Just for him as well.
I get concerned because, like, you know, a lot of these dudes get hurt now. And they're not even fighting because they're, you know, it could be whether they're overtraining or it's just injuries happen, whatever the case may be. But I feel like all across, this is not going to open up another portal of conversation because we'll be here all day. But I feel like there's been an increase in injuries across sports, severe injuries at that. Basketball, boxing,
basketball's different though.
Football. I feel like it's been every sport from when I was a child. I remember guys played more games, guys played through more injuries. Guys I felt like got hurt less.
Guys played through injuries. Like, I remember Iverson played with a high ankle sprain in the playoffs, right? You're not going to see that in the NBA playoffs now, but that's a whole different thing.
You're out for 2 weeks. The shit is crazy.
I don't know if it's because of the training that they're doing so much more training before they become professional athletes, like in the leagues, or if it's just that they're soft now.
So that fake meat, yo. That's all that the veggie burgers, they don't do shit. But yeah, also just
I totally eat those vegan burgers, but yeah, they're really good. and they're good for you.
No,
And
they fall apart sometimes, especially if you make them with black beans. It depends.
Yeah.
Some of the vegan shit's all right, but I'm not
It's
shitting
good.
on all of it. I'm just talking shit. I also want to shout out other people who've been riding with us because we're building something here, and we're about 6 weeks in, and we're at over 300 subscribers on YouTube. Our social media is still like in slow build.
Yo, so
But
make sure to follow us at TheMandatory.
yeah, make sure to follow us. But if you've been riding with us this long, this so far, we appreciate it, whether you like it or not. Because if you don't like us and subscribe, we'll take that also. But yeah, we got some stuff coming up soon. We want to do lives, and we want to do mailbags coming forward. So make sure you email the show at themandatoryshow@gmail.com. So that we can do some mandatory mailbags, probably one a month at some point, starting in the spring at some time. So we need enough emails in order for us to do it. So make sure you send that in, and we're gonna do those things. But in regards to Devin Haney, Lomachenko, to put a bow on this, we both like Devin Haney in this fight. We're gonna give you a proper preview again when the fight is about to happen in May. Some of the undercard has been announced, so we can get into that too at a later date. And we have some betting stuff to attend to this week as well. So by the time you're listening to this, that might already be out.
Yeah, exactly. And we probably have something special coming up this weekend. If you're going to be around for the Anthony Joshua Jermaine Franklin fight, we will be doing a post-fight show on our channel. So make sure to look out for that as well. Right after the fight, come hang out with us, and we'll be recapping everything that went down. But most importantly, thanks so much for rocking with us. Follow us at TheMandatory TKO, and we'll have more for you later on this week. Peace out, and enjoy your day.